well in the forest, but the bullet's still in his head. There are very few orangutans, less than 15,000 left in the wild. So the threat of extinction is very, very real.
In Kalimantan, in the Indonesian Borneo, stands this cage with young orangutans. This is one of the many cages in the center established by Willy Smits, a world-renowned Dutch primatologist who devotes his expertise to save these animals from extinction. The 345 orangutans currently under care of this center are eating a ton of fruits each day. All these are orphaned orangutans. Their mothers were slaughtered by poachers right in the very eyes. This one is found with a bullet stuck above its right eye.
Every week we get new victims in, and especially now when the fires are starting to come back, the leaves are falling from the trees, there are fewer fruits available. Orangutans get hungry, thirsty, going towards the rivers where they will find the water, but that's also where they will find the people. Because along the rivers, along the highways of Kalimantan, that's where the people settle down on the better soils. And if an orangutan comes in that garden and destroys the last fruit tree of these poor people, you can imagine that they are going to defend their children instead of that orangutan. So again, victims are falling, and the conflict between humans and orangutans is renewed.
9 orangutans, which are deemed ready to survive in the wild, are set for release.
Well, what I'm doing is looking at the mental and physical preparedness of these orangutans to go out tomorrow to the field. So this one is Tati. She's definitely not ready. She's still looking very uncertain, very afraid, and also she's not quite well. She has had some problems with diarrhea, has been separated from the others. Now this is Jael. He's ranking 2. He's quite wild and he's very confident. Just look at his lips. So he's definitely ready to go.
Orangutan babies in the wild spent 8 years under the tutelage of their mothers, learning to distinguish 4,000 different plants, the details of location and the fruiting time of every tree in a 100-hectare range. In this center, their education is 5 years.
Long reach.
And in that time, Smits can only teach the baby a part of the skills.
The situation is very desperate. There are very few orangutans, less than 15,000 left in the wild. Moreover, these orangutans are distributed in small patches, and an orangutan needs a huge area of forest in order to survive. So if you cut a forest area into pieces, each of those populations becomes too small to survive in the long term. So the threat of extinction is very, very real. If we don't do something now, in the next 1 or 2 years, to protect the remaining orangutan habitat, forget it. We've lost them forever.
In other parts of Kalimantan, man-made bushfires continuously threaten to engulf the habitat of orangutans. The local people struggle to fight the fires with the simple equipment they have. The results are disastrous. Big areas of rainforest are destroyed. A year ago, this was a woodland where hundreds of indigenous plants and animals took shelter in. Despite this, Smits is determined to go on with his crusade. Due to the big number of babies in the center, the staff has identified at least 45 orangutans which are ready for another release. Their planning goes on with some disruptions from 2 naughty babies. Smits works on establishing a nature reserve. In that way, he tries to guarantee the safety of the orangutans in the wild from poachers and loggers.
We have to do whatever we can to protect those remaining orangutan habitats, which are still good, which still have enough wild orangutans. There are very few of those left. One area in central Kalimantan, as large as 700,000 hectares, we are now trying to protect under a Depth for Nature swap deal. We hope it will work out. It's
what
one
does
of
that
those.
mean?
Depth for Nature swap, that a country in return for reducing their foreign debt is willing to make a commitment to set aside a piece of nature forever to be kept as nature. So they will let go of the right in the future to exploit that area for timber or other commercial purposes.
This orangutan and her baby are ill and isolated from the rest. Through this basket she can communicate with her partner by giving him food and seeing him through the mirror. To protect her and the others after their release, Smits wants to first educate the local people.
You have to get the support of the local people, so we have to do education and extension work. We have to teach the people that there doesn't need to be a conflict for land between them and animals, them and nature. There are ways in which they can make a better use of smaller areas of land, getting a much higher income and therefore completely taking away the need to encroach upon other forest areas. So it is still very well possible for nature and humans to coexist, and that is the only way to go, because if we cut off everything in our environment, in the end we will as well suffer. Because there won't be enough medicines, there won't be a stable climate anymore. Everybody is suffering if we kill our environment.
A few cages in the center shelter some Japanese bears, who are also threatened for extinction.
They're originally from here. Those have also been confiscated. We already released quite a few of them. But if you release them, it's very difficult to get them frightened of people. So before we let them go completely, they get a collar. Whenever they come too close to people, they get a shock from the collar. This is to teach them to stay away from people. But after we think they're ready, we press the button and the collar opens and drops off, and then he's on himself for the future. But we still find that after a year they become a little bit brave again and they come close to people.
In the evening, another 4 orangutans from Jakarta arrived at the airport. They were confiscated from illegal traders in Jakarta and some rich Javanese families.
He has gotten a little bit of failure, but as you can see, it's quite at ease. This orangutan did not get stressed, and you will see it will take the food immediately. See? It is thirsty and it immediately wanted to be petted, it wanted to be put at ease. So, of course, it's a frightening thing, a flight like that with all the bumping in the cargo. Hey, oh, this one is very stressed, very stressed. He was in very high stress, very much breathing, and his cage was most blocked by the boxes on top of it and to the side, and they were not supposed to do that. So just because of the laziness of the cargo people, he was getting not enough oxygen through only one side with holes. hitting the sides in panic in that plane. He has been bang, bang against the inside of... No, he has... Yeah, the skin is off, see? Yeah. This is not yet cat.
Despite a night of intensive care, the condition of 7-year-old Romy has not yet improved. Meanwhile, 2 newcomers are brought by the forest guards who stop poachers in a checkpoint near Balikpapan. The orangutans are quite at ease even after a long trip in the back of the car. This baby has a double chin. According to the staff, this signifies a vitamin deficiency due to too much noodles fed to him by his captors. This project is the largest primate research and rehabilitation center in the world. Around 130 people compose the workforce that ensures the center's attainment of its mission. It requires at least $50,000 every month to keep it in full operation.
We have to go to Balikpapan as soon as the hospital opens and get the equipment to suck out the rest of the slime, or we will have to open up his aerial way here and put in a tube for breathing and then hope that he pulls through, because he's still in very bad shape. Could be brain damage because of oxygen shortage.
In a simulated forest within the center, some babies get lessons to develop their climbing skills. The badly needed equipment has arrived at last. The vets continue their fight to keep Romy's vital signs running. They have prepared themselves to see him through his ordeal, keeping in mind that this may not be the last serious case they would ever handle. In the afternoon, Smits drives to the river to fetch Robin, an injured orangutan which broke his arm at play. He arrives from an orangutan camp in central Kalimantan, where Smith's Foundation monitors 1,000 hectares of untouched forest. Caring for Robin is Laura, a Danish primatologist, who volunteers her expertise to the foundation.
She's sitting with the baby, huh? Is he very on himself, with you only?
No, he likes it, almost everybody.
No? Okay.
Got pampers also?
Yes, it's okay. Get your stuff.
Robin also awaits treatment in the orangutan clinic back in the center.
He's doing quite well. We were afraid that, sometimes he's normally very, very naughty.
Yeah.
He loves to play very rough with his friends. But since he broke his arm, it's very, very... We don't know. It happened. It was really swollen in the morning when we fed them in the first feeding in the morning. The technicians told us that his arm was very swollen, so we took him out.
Before leaving back, the Dutch pilot and Smith iron out the details of their scheduled flight to central Kalimantan 2 days later. The trip back to the center takes about 1 hour. There, the baby becomes excited to find some new friends.
Kissing.
Kissing?
Oh, it's gonna say hello, friends.
The fracture turns out to be less critical. In 4 weeks, the baby will be back playing rough with his friends again.
It's hard. heartbeat is so weak that it doesn't register anymore. Baterainya berarti ya. Ada pasang dengan charger dengan power supply atau bagaimana?
But Rami doesn't get better anymore. 1 hour later, he dies. Smits has to go on. He has to give instructions for the release of the 9 orangutans the next day. And it is time to say goodbye to them in their own special language.
Orangutans are very close to us, so basically you don't need to look for special tricks or special behavior. Try to be yourself, and if you have a good mind and you feel in a caring and in a truly interested, a respectful way towards them, they will be the ones to know and they will tell you, and then you will also be able to read their eyes. So be nice to them and they're nice to you.
At 5 the next morning, everyone gathers to listen to the last important instructions prior to the trip to the woods. Then the 6-vehicle convoy makes its way through the dirt roads to the rainforest. This will not be an easy trip. Several stops along the way are made to give the orangutans some rest and their much-needed nourishment. The journey takes a strenuous 6 hours. But everyone stays excited about this event. It has taken them months to prepare themselves and be chosen for this hard but rewarding experience. Along the dusty trail, the convoy is greeted by the stark reality behind the denudation of Borneo's forest. These scenes serve as a testament on the extinction not only of orangutans, but of hundreds of plants and animal species that take refuge among the once teeming grove. The convoy finally reaches the staff house where everyone will spend the night. As soon as the trucks are unloaded, Jimmy, an orangutan who chooses to settle in a nearby canopy, greets the newcomers and tries to solicit for some sexual favors. He forces his way to satisfy his needs, no matter what it takes. It takes 8 men and a shot of sedative to finally subdue him. The camp is situated in the remotest part of central Kalimantan. Its distance serves as a safety shield from poachers and human encroachments. The trip entails a ride in this cable car and a 2-hour walk through unfriendly tracks.
We have one program that we set up here where we are buying thousands of hectares of land to become permanent forever foundation property, the BOS, the Balikpapan Orangutan Survival Foundation property, to be planted with the trees for nature. And at the same time we're helping people around, and by selling that land through the people abroad, we have been able already to help 1,000 families here and set aside a very large area of land forever.
For $6, everyone can buy 1 square meter of rainforest, which will be their property forever and monitored through Smith's Foundation. To acclimatize, all orangutans shall spend the night in this wooden cage in the middle of the forest. But first they are given an injection of vitamins and mild tranquilizers to make them feel relaxed and ready for their release early the next morning. A last check, and then it is time to go back to the staff house. There 2 orangutans drop by and display their mutual affection.
largest primate project in the world, and we're not proud of that because it's basically proof of our failing to protect the wild orangutans in their habitat. And yes, fruits coming down 50 meters up. So it's a big struggle. We are far away. We don't allow any tourists to set back the process of becoming free for these orangutans, and that makes it very hard to keep an operation like this running.
The orangutans climb out to the trees to taste their second chance toward freedom. How was the release?
As you can see, perfect. Nobody is in any stress. There's just Hilly here trying to grab your microphone.
The camera.
Oh. She's nervous to follow the others. Now Hilly was with Ratman, but Ratman is already up there eating, and those leaves and all these flowers falling here, that is her boyfriend up there, and she's not quite sure if she should try that same liana, so we still have to try to get her to do it. So now she's pretending, oh, let's eat first something, but so she's the most nervous one. She's the smallest member in this group. But nobody basically has stress. They're eating, they're climbing, they're exploring, they're going in groups of 2 already up to 50 meters up there in the canopy.
You're satisfied?
Just as it should to be. Yes, yes. All of these are gonna be great here.
Another